नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे
Hare Krishna.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेष्व भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी श्रीमद्भागवतम let me share the screen Srimad Canto 3 Chapter 23 Devahūti's Lamentation texts 32 to 35. So I will just read 32, 33, 34 and then you can all recite 35. Shrinyor adhyastaya kanchya kanchanya bahuratnaya harena cha maharhena ruchakena cha bhushitam. About her hips, she wore a girdle of gold set with numerous jewels, and she was further adorned with a precious pearl necklace and auspicious substances. Purport: auspicious substances include saffron, kumkum, and sandalwood pulp. Before taking a bath, there are other auspicious substances such as turmeric mixed with mustard seed oil, which are smeared all over the body. All kinds of auspicious substances were used to bathe Devahūti from top to toe. Text 33. Sudata subhruva shlakshna snigdha pangena chakshusha padmakosha spridha nilair alakaischa lasanmukham. Her countenance shone with beautiful teeth and charming eyebrows. Her eyes, distinguished by lovely moist corners, defeated the beauty of lotus buds. Her face was surrounded by dark, curling tresses. Purport: according to Vedic culture, white teeth are very much appreciated. Devahūti's white teeth increased the beauty of her face and made it look like a lotus flower. When a face looks very attractive, the eyes are generally compared to lotus petals and the face to a lotus flower. Text 34. Yada sasmara rishabham rishinam daitam patim tatra chaste sahastribhir yatraste sa prajapatihi. Translation: when she thought of her great husband, the best of the sages, Kardama Muni, who was very dear to her, she, along with all the maidservants, at once appeared where he was.
Wow.
Purport: it appears from this verse that in the beginning, Devahūti thought herself to be dirty. and dressed in a very niggardly way. When her husband asked her to enter the lake, she saw the maidservants, and they took care of her. Everything was done within the water, and as soon as she thought of her beloved husband Kardama, she was brought before him without delay. These are some of the powers attained by perfect yogis. They can immediately execute anything they desire. And this is the verse that we will recite together, text 35. I will recite 3 times and then you can take turns. Bhartuh purastad atmanam stri sahasravritam tada nishamya tadyogagatim samshayam pratyapadyata. Bhartuh purastad atmanam stri sahasravritam tada nishamya tadyogagatim samshayam pratyapadyata. Bhartuh purastadatmanam stri sahasravritam tada nishamya tadyogagatim sashamyam pratyapadyata. Please chant.
भर्तुः पुरस्तादात्मानं स्त्रीसहस्रवृतं तदा निशाम्य तद्योगगतिं संशयं प्रत्यपद्यत.
Hare Krishna. Bhartu Purushat Atmanam Stri Sahasra Bhritam Tada Nishmaya Tad Yoga Gatim Shamshayam Pratapaddata.
Purastad atmanam Sri Sahasravritam tada Nishamya Tadyoga Gatim Samshayam Pratyapadhyata. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Bhartuhu purastad atmanam stri sahasravritam tada nishamya tadyogagatim samshayam pratyapatiyata. Hare Krishna.
Bhartu purastad atmanam stri sahasravritam tada nishamya tad yoga gatim samshayam pratyapadyata.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's do the word-to-word translation. Bhartuhu, of her husband. Purastat, in the presence. Atmanam, herself. Stri Sahasra, by 1,000 maids. Vritam, surrounded. Tada, then. Nishamya, seeing. Tat, his. Yogagatim, yogic power. Samshayam, pratyapadyata, she was amazed. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. She was amazed to find herself surrounded by 1,000 maids in the presence of her husband and to witness his yogic power. She was amazed to find herself surrounded by 1,000 maids in the presence of her husband and to witness his yogic power. Purport. Devahūti saw everything miraculously done, yet when brought before her husband, she could understand that it was all due to his great yogic mystic power. She understood that nothing was impossible for a yogi like Kardama Muni. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanasalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for joining in the Bhagavatam class at ISKCON Philadelphia this morning. We are reading from the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 23, and this chapter is entitled Devahūti's Lamentation. Why is Devahūti lamenting? So we have seen that after her marriage, she served her husband Kardama Muni very faithfully for a very long time, and she became completely emaciated. She was not taking care of herself while engaged in the service of her husband. So one day, Kardama Muni noticed how she grew so weak and emaciated because of observing her duty as a wife. And Kardama Muni, who was a great yogi and a devotee too, he felt he was actually overcome with compassion when he saw Devahūti's condition, because he had seen her as a princess when she first came with her father and mother, how beautiful she was. And now, there was a thick coat of dirt accumulated on her skin. Her hair was matted. She was emaciated. Her clothes were soiled. She was not looking attractive because of the austerity she was performing. And all this was simply to serve her husband. So Kardama Muni was overcome with compassion, and his voice, was choked up when he spoke to her. He was feeling gratitude for her. He said, "I'm very much pleased with you for your great devotion and your most excellent loving service." And he said, "I'm really surprised that you have neglected your own body in order to use it for me in my service. Because for all embodied souls, the body is very dear. People do all kinds of sinful activities for the sake of this body. They think they are the bodies, and they do so many sinful activities. They pamper this body, they feed this body, decorate this body, give all sorts of comforts to this body. And here Kardama Muni is seeing that Devahūti, even though she is a princess, she gave up all that for the sake of serving him. So then he said, whatever I have achieved by discharging my religious duties. So he's a yogi and he was also a devotee. So whatever he has achieved by his sadhana, this is an advantage. If a woman is a chaste wife, faithful to her husband, by even though she does not herself practice, she becomes equally entitled to share half of his results, whatever he has acquired. A wife, that of course, if she's a chaste wife, only then. So Devahūti was assisting her husband. So now Kardama Muni is offering her whatever he has, all the spiritual advancement that he achieved as a result of his practices, he is offering it to his wife. And he said, I'm giving you the transcendental vision so you can actually see what you're going to get. And he also kind of preached to her, saying that what is the use of any type of enjoyment other than receiving the Lord's mercy? That is the highest. So, there is bhukti, mukti, siddhi, right? And then there is bhakti. What is bhukti? Bhukti means material enjoyment. Bhukti. Mukti means freedom from all material suffering. Liberation. Liberation from material existence. This is mukti. Siddhi. Siddhi means, this is actually the side product of practicing Ashtanga Yoga. The real result of practicing Ashtanga Yoga, any transcendental path, whether it is jnana or bhakti, and Ashtanga Yoga can come either in jnana or bhakti, depending on the result. By using Ashtanga Yoga, if you want to go and merge into Brahman, then that Ashtanga Yoga comes in jnana. By using Ashtanga Yoga, if you want to reach Savishesha Brahman means Brahman with a form and attributes, either Paramatma or Bhagavan. Then that Ashtanga Yoga comes in Bhakti. So there are only 3 paths. Krishna said, he gave Jnana, Bhakti, and then there's a third one called Karma. Karma, before if you don't have qualification for Jnana or Bhakti, then you have to do Karma. So you may wonder, where does this Ashtanga Yoga fall in? So Ashtanga Yoga can come either in Jnana or Bhakti, depending on your destination. If you want Nirvishesha Brahman by doing Ashtanga Yoga, then it is Jnana. If you want Savishesha Brahman by doing Ashtanga Yoga, then it is Bhakti. So, the result of Ashtanga Yoga is realizing the absolute truth. Whether you go through Jnana Marga or Bhakti Marga, if you want Nirvishesha Brahman or you want Paramatma realization, or even Bhagwan realization, whatever. By Ashtanga Yoga, the goal of Ashtanga Yoga, the perfection of Ashtanga Yoga is to realize the absolute truth, to attain the absolute truth. Either Brahma Prapti or Paramatma Prapti or Bhagavad Prapti. However, you get also side products. What are the side products? You get siddhis. Siddhis like Anor Aniyan, Mahato Mahiyan. So, you can become smaller than the smallest, greater than the greatest. And you can read another person's mind. You can become lighter than a feather. Like that. There are Ashta Siddhis, 8 types of Siddhis that one gets by perfecting this Ashtanga Yoga. As a byproduct, you get these Siddhis. So, Bhukti, Mukti, Siddhi, Kami, Sakali, Ashanta. One who is desiring Bhukti, Mukti, or Siddhi, they are always Ashanta. They cannot be peaceful. But one who, Krishna Bhakta Nishkama. Krishna Bhakta Nishkama, Ataeva Shanta. A Krishna Bhakta has no desire. He doesn't desire material results. He doesn't desire liberation. He doesn't desire these siddhis. He has no desire. What is his desire? Anya abhilashita shunyam. Anya abhilashita shunyam. That means he has no other desires. Then that he doesn't have other desires means he should have some desire. What is his desire? To please Krishna. To please Krishna. That's all. Ataeva Shanta. Because he has no desires, no other desires, save and except pleasing Krishna, therefore he is peaceful. Everyone else is Ashanta. He is not happy. He is not peaceful. So Kardama Muni told his wife, what is the use of enjoyments other than the Lord's grace? All material achievements are subject to annihilation. What is the use of asking for any material benediction? Even up to the point of liberation, what is the use of that? So he's saying, by your devotion to me, to your husband, you have achieved transcendental gifts, which are not easily obtained. They are very rarely obtained. He did all the, austerities and the sadhana, he did it. But she's getting all the result because she engaged in his service. But Devahūti didn't accept his offer. So she spoke to him in great humility and love. And she said, my dear husband, I know that you have achieved perfection. You are the master of all mystic powers. But remember the promise that you made before we were married? You told my father that after you give me children, that means after she bears children, then he will leave the household ashram. He won't stay in the grihastha ashram throughout his life. After she gives birth to his children, or after he gives her a son, then he will leave. So she's saying, I want to have children. That was her desire. So she just reminded him of the promise that he made to her father. So Devahūti did not accept the transcendental gifts that Kardama Muni was offering her. Instead, she wanted to have children. And how she wanted to have children? According to the system which is prescribed in the scriptures. This is also very scientific. When there is a marriage, an auspicious time is decided according to astrology when the couple will unite. For that, the room is decorated very nicely. And, there's nice perfumes, incense, flowers, fruits and sweets and milk and so on and so forth. They are kept. And the lady is decorated very nicely with ornaments. Do you know what is the science behind that? Why? So, having a proper atmosphere is important to create an environment, a suitable environment to invite a suitable living entity. This is Garbhadan Samskara. Samskara means purification. Purification. Samskara means purification. Just as when you want to invite an important person to your house, what do? You clean your house nicely, decorate it nicely, and then you invite. Similarly, when you want, the purpose of marriage is to have a son, is to have a child, have a son. Because that will continue the lineage. There is a debt for a grihastha. A grihastha has a debt to his dynasty. He took birth in that dynasty and he got the benefits of taking birth in that family. Now he has to offer a son so the dynasty can continue. He has a debt towards the family. So therefore, in marriage, having a son is important. So this Garbhadan Samskara is done to purify the womb. Garbhadhan, Garbha, right? The womb has to be purified by this Samskara to invite a suitable soul. And now when will a son be born? If the male is more attracted towards the female, then there is a greater chance of a male child. If the female is more attracted to the male, then there is a greater chance of having a female child. Therefore, the girl is decorated nicely. You don't see that the man is decorated so much, not so much. But the girl is really decorated with flowers and, jewelry and so many things, perfumes and all that. That's the idea. Because she should be attractive for the husband so that they can have a son. And all the other decorations, these are described in Shastra, how exactly that place where the conception is going to take place, how that house or that room should be decorated, what type of flowers and what type of fruits and how, the bed is decorated and everything. It is described in Shastra. The whole idea is to give birth to a suitable, to invite a suitable living entity. It is a science. So, Devahūti said, my lord, of course, she loves her husband. I'm struck by excited emotion for you. So she doesn't want to have a child. Oh, he's a yogi. A yogi can just give her a child by his yogic power. She didn't want that. She wanted to have a child the way, husband and wife give birth to a child as described in Shastras. She wanted it like that. She didn't want a child from her husband by his yogic powers. He will just give her a child. No, not like that. So that is why she's describing. She said, kindly make what arrangements must be made according to the scriptures. So now they are living in a hermitage in the forest. And what was her condition? Her body was so skinny and emaciated. So she said, my body is not fit for you at present. So she said, you make arrangements so that my skinny body, which is emaciated through unsatisfied passion, may it be rendered fit for you. And she said, also, please think of a suitable house for this purpose. So here you should not think that she's just, out of lust. She's asking for all these things so that she can enjoy. That's not the idea.
First I thought like that.
No, it's not like that at all.
Yeah.
Rather, she wanted to have a child from her great husband. The husband himself appears in the form of his son. So this is great honor for the wife who loves her husband to have a son, because it's like she's bearing her husband in her womb. Like her husband himself is coming in the form of her son. That is why a woman who has a son, if her husband dies, she is not considered to be a widow. Because husband means bharta. Bharta means one who protects, who provides. If she has a son who is the representative of her husband, then she has a protector. She has somebody who provides for her. She is not, she's not a destitute. She's not anatha. It's not like she has nobody. No, she has somebody who will provide for her, who will take care of her, who will protect her. Therefore, if a woman has a son and if her husband dies, she's not considered to be a widow. So she wanted to have a son after class. So she wanted to have a son because she loved her husband and she wanted to have a son from her husband. And then for that, according to scriptures, whatever arrangement has to be made, please arrange that. Why? So that she can have a son from her husband. Of course, however, we see that she gives birth to 9 daughters. But this is the system. Then, yes, we see the description of that. So now, immediately, Kardama Muni made, it's not like he had to build anything, right? Simply by his yogic power. That's what we are seeing here. How great is Kardama Muni's yogic power? Instantly, he produced an aerial mansion that could travel at his will. And then there's a description, wonderful description of this aerial mansion. And then, wonderful, it's like a city in itself, a flying city with many pleasure grounds, resting chambers, and so many things. But what happened when Devahūti saw that? Did she become excited? Was she very happy? She became displeased at heart. She looked at that gigantic, opulent palace and she looked at herself. She felt unfit, ashamed. It's like, you see, if you are, let's say, if your feet are dirty, you walked outside in the garden and you have your feet have all dirt stuck to them, and you enter the house and nicely shining floor. Do you feel like walking on that? You feel like, no, isn't it like that? She felt, this is so wonderful. And she looked at herself, she didn't see herself as fit to enter that opulent palace. And she felt displeased in her heart. I cannot go inside. I'm not fit. Huh? In this condition, how will I offer myself to my husband in such an opulent place? Kardama Muni immediately understood the feelings of Devahūti. So he told Devahūti, my dear Devahūti, you look very afraid. Why don't you go and take bath in Bindu Sarovar first? Bindu Sarovar is the lake formed by the tears of Lord Vishnu. What type of tears? When Lord Vishnu appeared in front of Kardama Muni, seeing Kardama Muni's devotion, Lord Vishnu shed tears of love. So those tears formed this lake called Bindu Sarovar. So this lake, being formed by the tears of Lord Vishnu, is capable of granting all one's desires. So Kardama Muni said, my dear Devahūti, just go and bathe in Bindu Sarovar and then you come and you can mount this airplane. So being obedient, she just accepted her husband's order. Her dress was dirty, her hair was matted, and she didn't look attractive at all. Her body was coated with a thick layer of dirt. And she just went and she dove into the lake. And what happened when she went inside? Inside the lake was a house. And in the house were 1,000 maidservants.
Wow.
Yeah. And they were all in their prime youth. And they were very fragrant like lotuses. And they were at Devahūti's service. They were there to serve her maidservants. And when they saw her, immediately they got up and folded their hands. They said, we are your maidservants. Tell us what we can do for you. They were very respectful to Devahūti, and holding her, they brought her, sat her down, and they started bathing her. First, they massaged her body with different types of oils, ointments, and then they bathed her nicely. Then they dressed her up in a nice spotless cloth, decorated her with various valuable jewels, excellent jewels. And these jewels were shining brightly. Not only that, you see, she was emaciated because of not eating. So they gave her food, excellent food with all good qualities, nutritious food. And also they gave her a special drink called asavam. This is this would rejuvenate her body, bring her back to her youthful beauty. After everything, now they
Actually,
brought her
like that.
in front of the mirror. So she saw herself in the mirror. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. Her body was completely free from all dirt. And she was wearing a beautiful garland. Her clothes were, you know, very costly, very beautiful. She was decorated with tilak. And all these 1,000 maidservants were around her. She had a necklace and, beautiful necklace around her neck, bangles, ankle bells, etc. So today's verse, we saw further a description of how she was decorated. So she had this belt around her hips with numerous jewels. So, do you get a question? Do you wonder where all these jewels are now that we read about in the description of Bhagavatam? Where are they? All these valuable jewels? They are there. However, Mother Earth holds them back. She does not. When people are not following Dharma, then she holds back all her treasures. We read about this in Prithu Maharaj's pastime, Upakyanam. She holds everything, all the seeds and everything, minerals, jewels, everything. But when there is a proper king who ensures that all the citizens are following Dharma, then she releases all these jewels. So they are there now, but they are in the womb of the earth because people are very sinful. So you don't get to see them. Instead, we see plastic everywhere instead of gold and jewels. So we see that she's decorated with numerous jewels, pearl necklace, and auspicious substances. Srila Prabhupada is saying auspicious substances include saffron, kumkum, sandalwood, pulp, like that. So you see in the deities, when you worship the deities, you apply sandalwood pulp. Yes, you dip tulsi in sandalwood pulp and offer to the lotus feet of Krishna. And that sandalwood pulp you also apply on the forehead of Srila Prabhupada and all the devotees. So this is a decoration, sandalwood pulp, auspicious substance. It also cools, but it's auspicious. Similarly, other auspicious substances, especially women, are decorated with kumkum. This is red powder and saffron, like that. And the different things that are used for massage, turmeric and mustard oil, all this, like this. She was massaged. Then Srila Prabhupada is saying, actually the verse is saying, now she's looking at herself. She's seeing herself in the mirror. Her face looks so beautiful with beautiful teeth and charming eyebrows. And, her face was surrounded by dark curling tresses. So what do you understand? Earlier when she came, she was, she had matted hair, isn't it? And there was a thick layer of dirt on her skin all over her body. Now she has, nice eyebrows and curling hair tresses. That means these 1,000 maids did all the, whatever they do in a beauty parlor, right? Right. Nicely did her facial and, her hairdo and everything else naturally. With all these, they used all these natural substances and really decorated her nicely. No animal substances like they use now in makeup, none of that. So then another point is, Srila Prabhupada is saying, according to Vedic culture, white teeth are very much appreciated. So Devahūti's white teeth increased the beauty of her face and made it look like a lotus flower. So the face is compared to a lotus flower, and when the face looks very attractive, eyes are compared to lotus petals. Vrindavan Chandra, the moon of Vrindavan. Krishna's face is compared to moon. Actually, everything. All his limbs are compared to moons or lotus, either lotus. Generally, his face is compared to moon, Vrindavan Chandra. But here we are not talking of moon. Here it is a lotus flower. Namo Pankajanabhaya, Namo Pankajangraye. Namaha Pankajanabhaya, Namo Pankajangraye. Nama Pankaja Netraya. So all his various parts are compared to a lotus. Pankaja Netraya. So Srila Prabhupada is saying that the face is compared to a lotus flower and the eyes are compared to lotus petals. When a face looks very attractive, the eyes are generally compared to lotus petals and the face to a lotus flower. So when the face is attractive, the face is compared to a lotus flower and the eyes are compared to lotus petals. So the important point here is, when she saw herself so beautiful, now immediately she thought of her husband. While she's looking in the mirror, she just thought of her husband. And as soon as she thought of her husband, she found herself in front of her husband, along with all the maids and everything. How did this happen? This happened by the yogic power of Kardama Muni. So these are some of the powers attained by perfect yogis. They can immediately execute anything they desire. Devahūti herself was also a yogini. So, she was miraculously brought in front of her husband. But when she saw her husband, she understood this is all due to my husband's great yogic mystic power. And that nothing was impossible for a yogi like Kardama Muni. However, but I want to tell you one thing, that actually, depending on the time, we hear in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the first canto, 5th chapter, Narad Muni's talks with Vyasdev, or Narada's instructions on Srimad Bhagavatam for Vyasdev. So there are two verses, text 10 and 11. Specifically, we want to talk about text 11. It is said that Tadvag Visargo Janatagha Viplavo Yasmin Pratishlokamabadhavatyapi Namanyanantasya Yashonkitani Yat Shrinvanti Gayanti Grinanti Sadhavaha. This verse is saying, so the previous verse, 10th verse, said that those words which don't describe the glories of Lord Hari, who alone can sanctify the atmosphere of the whole universe, are considered by saintly persons to be like unto a place of pilgrimage for crows. Since the all-perfect persons are inhabitants of the transcendental abode, they do not derive any pleasure. So in other words, in simple words, any literature, whether it is, a poem or an article or a story or whatever it may be, a song, which does not have the glories of the Supreme Lord, is like a place of pilgrimage for crows. Crows are known to go to nasty places where dead bodies are kept, where there is rotten stuff, they go there. Crows. Swans don't go to such places. So any literature which has, or any news, right? Whatever, sports or whatever, which does not have the glories of the Supreme Lord, it is like a place of pilgrimage for crows. That was said in the 10th verse. And the next verse is saying, on the other hand, that literature which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the Supreme Lord, that is a different creation. It brings a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilization. So here we are talking about Srimad Bhagavatam. I want to bring your attention to one point here. Yasmin pratishlokam abadhavatyapi. Namani anantasya yashonkitanyat. That means even if every shloka has some faults, faults means some literary, there are no literary decorations or maybe some mistakes, still, because it has glories of the Supreme Lord, Shrinvanti Gayanti Grinanti Sadhavaha. The thoroughly honest men, purified men, even though it is imperfectly composed, even though this literature is imperfectly composed, they will hear, sing, and accept this literature. That means they will hear again and again. They will repeat again and again. Tad vag is said, na? Tad vag visargo. So what is vak? Vak means, what is your understanding? Is it that in Srimad Bhagavatam, should you take vak means a line, a shloka, a word? What do you think? Tatvag visargo janataga viplavo. Every word you should take, every word of Srimad Bhagavatam is bringing a revolution in the, in the impious lives of a misdirected civilization. Should we take that every word of Bhagavatam is talking about Hari? Then what about the description that we saw just now? How a Devahūti is decorated, there's a description of all the ornaments and all the different oils and ointments that they used, so on and so forth, about Kardama Muni's yogic powers and the beautiful aerial mansion. And also the coming future verses, we will see how they enjoyed and all that. Should we accept that every word or every line of Bhagavatam, what does it mean? Tadvag visargo janataga viplavo. Every line is bringing a revolution. How should we understand? Do you know?
All of them, even though they are not directly related, they are indirectly related towards that end. So yes, I think every word should be taken seriously.
Okay. Any other opinions?
Mataji, we should not look at that each word or that sentence independently. Like Surya Mataji said, we have to see what is the connection, why they're saying, like, if you don't talk about the evil, you don't know the good. You don't know, if you don't talk about the darkness, you don't know the light. So you're using this, whatever that other creation, to know the importance of the other one. So every word is important.
So tell me one thing, when it is said tad vak visargo, vak means what should we take?
What is being
Generally,
said, watch, vacha, like what's being
so you
said,
want to take vak means a word or sentence or what?
everything, whatever is being said, like that, whatever is being said.
That means every word.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other opinions, ideas?
Essence of
Mataji?
the essence of the word.
Essence of the word, you said? Essence
Yeah.
of the word.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Exercise. Okay. Actually, we cannot take it as every word. Because if you take every word, then you see here, I gave you the example in this chapter. You will see that every line is not directly talking about bhakti. Every line is not directly talking about pure devotional service. And you will find many descriptions like that in Bhagavatam. Maybe there's a description of mountain or, some beautiful ladies being described. Previously, we saw, when Lord Brahma was creating asuras, when they were created, they took twilight to be a woman. And there's a description of, this woman. Actually, it's twilight, but they took it to be a woman. And there's a description of her beauty. Every line is not actually talking about bhakti. However, here when you say vak means you should take upakhyanam. Upakhyanam means context or one story. Bhagavatam has many stories, like Dhruva Maharaj is one story. Prithu Maharaj is one story. Prahlad Maharaj is one story. Daksha Yagya is one story. Kardama Muni and Devahūti's marriage is one story. Like this, there are, I believe, like 64 upakhyanas in Srimad Bhagavatam. The conclusion of each and every story of Srimad Bhagavatam is pure unalloyed devotional service to Krishna. The conclusion of that story. So here, tad vak visargo janataga viplavo is said. Vak means what? That literature in which every story is concluding in pure unalloyed devotional service. And by hearing this, it brings a revolution in the consciousness of the people who hear it. So vak means every story. One more point. We say Srimad Bhagavatam is Amala Puranam, spotless Purana. And Srimad Bhagavatam is called Chakravarti Pramana. It is the emperor Pramana. Pramana means proof or authority. It's the ultimate authority. Whatever is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, that is the ultimate. Actually, whatever is said in the Vedas, is truth. It's not false. But if there is a difference, it can happen. Something is said in the Vedas and something else is said in Bhagavatam. If there is like a contradiction, who should you accept? Bhagavatam has precedence. Whatever is said in Bhagavatam, that is the last word. That is the last word. So, my question is, in Bhagavatam, every story is concluding in pure devotional service. So, therefore, Bhagavatam is a place for swans, where the swans go. Crows don't go. The place of pilgrimage for crows is Vayasa Tirtham. Vayasa Tirtham means, Vayasa means crows. Vayasa Tirtham means place of pilgrimage for crows. So, What about other Puranas? There are 18 Puranas. And then you have Mahabharata, Itihasa. There are so many stories there. Are they talking about pure devotional service? There are 18 Puranas. 6 are Satvika, 6 are Rajasika, and 6 are Tamasika Puranas. Meaning for people in the mode of goodness, for people in the mode of passion, for people in the mode of ignorance. So, one question is, can you say that these Puranas, they are Vayastirtham? They are places of pilgrimage for crows? Can you say like that? Just say yes or no. Can you call the Puranas Vayastirtham, place of pilgrimage for crows? Puranas other than Bhagavatam?
No.
No, I
No.
think
No. Why?
because they give lessons. They give us lessons.
Eventually, they will lead to indirect way, but they will still lead to bhakti.
Yes. So the thing is, then how is, okay, accepted your point. Then how is Bhagavatam superior to the Puranas? They are also telling about bhakti. Bhagavatam is also telling about bhakti. Why is Bhagavatam considered superior to the other Puranas?
One thing is because it is direct and it is talking about, like Narad Muni was told Vyasadeva was told by Narad Muni, you've written all of those things, but they don't directly talk about the Supreme Personality and his devotees.
Yes. So I'll just conclude because we have 2 minutes. The thing is, these Puranas, if you see the whole literature, yes, the conclusion is Vedaishcha Sarvair Ahameva Vedyaha. The conclusion is bhakti. You should surrender to Krishna. That is the conclusion of the entire Purana. But within the Purana, you have stories. Like in Bhagavatam, you have stories. Each and every story is not necessarily concluding in pure devotional service. You have different Puranas. Not every Purana and not every story in the Puranas is concluding in bhakti. But in Bhagavatam, Tadvak Visargo Janataga Viplavo Yasmin Pratishlokam Abhadavati. That means Tadvak, their vak means story. Huh? Every contextual story is concluding in pure devotional service. This is not the case in Puranas. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam is superior to the Puranas. However, you cannot say that the other Puranas are all places of pilgrimage for crows because they are not glorifying the Supreme Lord, because the conclusion of the entire book, of the entire Purana, is glorification of the Supreme Lord. So therefore, the book as it is not Vayasatirtham, but those stories inside the book where the Lord, Supreme Lord, is not glorified, then those stories you can call Vayasatirtham. That's why Srimad Bhagavatam is superior to other Puranas. However, all Puranas, they are all transcendental literature. They are not mundane literature. They are coming from Vedas only. Originally, there was only one Veda. Previous to Vyasadev's dividing the Veda. Vyasa means one who divides. Vyasa means divides. So there was only one Veda and it was called Yajur Veda. And people who had such good memory in the previous ages, simply by hearing, there was no, written book. They would hear from Guru. By hearing, the entire Veda was memorized by the students. But Vyasadeva noticed, or he could foresee, that in Kali Yuga, people are going to be so dull-headed, lazy, manda, sumanda, matayo, manda, bhagya, hupadrutaha, and also short-lived. So to benefit them, he divided one Veda. How did he divide? He took out the mantras to be recited by each of the 4 Ritviks. When there is a yagya, there are 4 Ritviks sitting on 4 sides. Each Ritvik chants specific mantras. The names of these Ritviks are Hota, Udgata, Advaryu, and Brahma. So the mantras to be recited by Hota, he took those and he called it Rig Veda. Similarly, for the next priest, this is Samaveda. Those mantras he took out. And then the mantras to be recited by the third priest, this is Yajurveda. And then the fourth priest, whatever he will recite, he called this Atharva Veda. And still something was remaining in the original. Some stories were remaining. That he took out as a 5th Veda called Panchama Veda, Puranas and Itihasas. Still some mantras were remaining. Those mantras he put in Yajurveda. This is how he divided one Veda into 5. What are the 5? Rig Veda, Samaveda, Yajurveda, Atharva Veda, and Purana Itihasas are also Veda. That is my point. Therefore, you cannot say that Puranas and Itihas means Mahabharat. They are Vayasatirtham or they are places of pilgrimage because they are not directly glorifying the Supreme Lord. You cannot call them because they are also Veda. Veda is not written by any human being. It is Apaurushaya. It is the energy of the Supreme Lord. It manifests from the Supreme Lord at the time of creation. Vedas, they are eternal. Like the Lord is eternal, his energies are eternal. Vedas are eternal. They are not written by any person. They are not written by any person. So Puranas, Itihasas are also coming from, they are also part of Veda. They are also transcendental. However, Srimad Bhagavatam is superior to the Puranas because in Srimad Bhagavatam, every story is concluding in pure unalloyed devotional service to Krishna. Whereas in the other Puranas and in Mahabharata, overall that scripture, that Purana or that Itihasa is concluding in surrender to the Supreme Lord, but not necessarily every story is concluding. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam is superior. Okay, so we'll stop there. Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions, comments? Okay, no questions. Thank you very much. Granthraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki jai.
Jai.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mataji. It was absolutely wonderful. You made us work hard today.
Thank you.
Thank you.